Today we're going to talk about, first we're going to talk about two kinds of knowledge. This is discussed in Baladev Vijayabhushan's Govindabhasya commentary of the Janmadasya Yataha Sutra. So the two kinds of knowledge he describes are called paroksha and aparoksha. Paroksha knowledge means that knowledge which is gained from authority or from logical deduction or reasoning. And we see in our life, if we're living in a civilized culture and we study, most of the knowledge we're gaining, you could say there's like street sense, street smarts, that's probably obtained from aparoksha, basic, living in your environment, gaining knowledge from it, learning how to adapt and adjust to it. But paroksha gyan basically means what you learn from something like scriptures or in school, what you learn from your scholastic books, right? That is paroksha gyan, knowledge acquired from authority or from logic, reasoning, or other sources. Sources that are beyond just your own, what you can accumulate from your own senses, experiment or experientially, I suppose you could say. Then there is aparoksha knowledge. Aparoksha means that which is directly perceived by your own senses. In the types of different evidences, pratyaksha praman means evidence gained from your own sense perception. So, for example, if I know Srivas directly, I've met him, I've hung out with him, that's pratyaksha praman. I have physical evidence of your existence and who you are. Now, if I heard about you from Pran, oh, there's this awesome guy, then that would be called paroksha. I'm hearing from my authority. Thank you for the blessings. So now there's two things to go along with that. One thing is that the material senses naturally have the defects of faulty perception. That we can see a rope and think it's a snake. You can see a mirage on land and think it's water, or something like that. So the four defects are, right, Brahm, Pramad, Vipralipsha, Karana, Patava. We tend to make mistakes because of our faulty senses. Even certain animals have more heightened senses, heightened sense of smell, better vision, like an eagle, better hearing, right? Whales, dolphins, I suppose. But human beings, we have higher intellect, higher capacity for reason. Now, because the senses are imperfect, material sense perception or aparoksha isn't always the best source of knowledge, especially in regards to understanding what is beyond the realm of the senses, which is one of the names for God, Achyuta, some who is perfect, never falls, but also someone who is aparoksha, who is beyond the sense of material knowledge or material sense perception. So paroksha gyan and aparoksha gyan go hand in hand in the spiritual practice. There's the material side of paroksha and aparoksha gyan, knowledge obtained from sources, right? Knowledge from authority, logic, and knowledge pertained directly gleaned from the senses. But in spiritual matters, first to approach aparoksha gyan means direct perception of Brahman. So we're hearing about Atato Brahma Jigyasa, we're hearing about the absolute truth, but our goal ultimately is aparoksha gyan. We want to directly see him. We want to directly be in that reality. And the way to get there is paroksha and aparoksha. They go hand in hand, meaning that paroksha gyan means we approach genuine guru and hear the scriptures from him and hear his instructions for us. That's paroksha because we're getting it from the authority, the guru. That's paroksha gyan. But then guru tells us, now practice to achieve aparoksha gyan. And so the practice he gives us, like chanting mantras, performed with the senses, is to enable you to actually perceive the divine entity, the deity. That's why when we are chanting Om or chanting Japa or doing Sankirtan or worshipping the deity, this is all helping us see the absolute truth. Like when we are absorbed in Vigraha Seva, serving the deity, gradually as our senses become purified, we'll see this is not just a Vigraha, this is Krishna directly. And we'll be able to see. Mahaprabhu would say, Vigraha na tumi shakshat Brajendra Nandan. You are not the deity, you are directly Brajendra Nandan. Mahaprabhu has aparoksha gyan. So we can remember those two terms, right? Paroksha, knowledge obtained from sources beyond your own senses, and aparoksha, knowledge gained from direct sense perception. So we have direct sense perception of this world, therefore we understand and know that it's real. We believe in that. But paroksha gyan, the problem is in spiritual life, without paroksha gyan, if you only rely on aparoksha gyan, then generally you become like atheistic, right? The atheists generally, they want to see, like the philosophers, they more rely on aparoksha gyan, which is like logic, reason, whereas the scientists, no, it's aparoksha. I want to be able to experience it and see it with my own senses. I want to be able to do an experiment and see the truth, right? So in that sense, Prabhupada would say we're following the science of self-realization. Prabhupada didn't call it the philosophy of self-realization. The science of self-realization, that means ultimately we are trying to realize it directly with our own senses. But initially, we have to go through paroksha gyan, because when we say atato brahma jigyasa, what is the goal of inquiry into Brahman? It's to see Brahman, that absolute truth, to have direct contact with that absolute truth. But the method to do it is first, tad vigyanartam saguru meva bigachit, approach a guru, take shelter of guru, then guru will give you paroksha gyan, meaning sastra knowledge. That's why the next sutra, Vedanta Sutra, we're going to learn is Sastra Yonitvat. Sastra is the yoni, the womb of all divine knowledge. So Sastra is giving us the highest paroksha gyan. There's many kinds of, actually you can say that Vedanta is the culmination of all the Vedic knowledge, because it's the end of all the Vedic knowledge. And so that's the highest kind of paroksha gyan, the highest kind of knowledge gained from reasoning and authority, because the Vedanta is based on philosophy and reason as well. But ultimately it's leading us to aparoksha gyan. So those are the two forms of knowledge, and when we approach Guru, then Guru connects us to Sastra. And so then from Janma Adasya Yata, we go to Sastra Yonitvat. And so when Prabhuji talks about Janma Adasya Yata, his commentary is more about the spiritual birth of the soul. He says that this is referring to spiritual birth. How can we get Janma Adi Asya, spiritual birth, then spiritual growth, spiritual development? And that is the process that is being given to us. And how do we, that's why Sastra Yonitvat says, to get spiritual birth, you enter into the womb of divine knowledge. That time when Guru gives you the mantra, Guru is your father, and the mantra is your mother. That's why Sastra Yonitvat. Sastra is the womb of divine knowledge. So without the father, the Guru, and without the mother, the Sastra, you cannot get spiritual birth. That's why both are very important. Now, the Gayatri mantra that Guru gives you, it's the seed form of all the Sastras, all the Vedas manifested from Om. Indeed, the whole creation manifested from Om. From Om came the Gayatri, from Gayatri came the Vedas, and the creative potency itself. So you approach Guru, you take shelter of Guru, he becomes your spiritual father. And also that's why Diksha Guru is the representative of Krishna himself. In Chaitanya Charitamrita it says, Krishna Rupe, that the Diksha Guru is Krishna's Rup, his own form. That's why we say Shakshad Hari Tvena. Guru is as good as God, and we should honor him as good as God. Also there's a verse, Acharya mam vijaniyam nava manyeta karhichit namartya buddha suyeta sarva deva mayo guru. Honor Guru knowing that all the power of all the devas resides within him. Therefore you should honor Acharya. Krishna says, Acharya, this is Krishna's own verse, Acharya mam, the Acharya is me. I am the Acharya. Acharya mam vijaniyam. No, vijaniyam means realize, not just know. Janiyam is know. Krishna says, Acharya mam vijaniyam. Know that the Guru is me, myself. That's why we say, Vande Krishnam Jagad Guru. Krishna is the Jagad Guru. So Diksha Guru is like your spiritual father because he is the messenger or the emblem or the representative of that Krishna potency himself, that Krishna divine deity himself. So then what Guru does is he gives you the mantra, and that mantra is impregnating you with spiritual knowledge. And that is, you could say, it's the germination of your spiritual birth and your spiritual growth. Therefore, Janma Dhyasayata leads to the next sutra, which is Sastra Yonitvat. So if you want spiritual birth, you must enter the womb of divine knowledge. You could say that's what we're doing with Vedanta. We're trying to enter the womb of the Vedanta and become absorbed and receive the nutrients from the mantra. The mantra, you could say, is like the umbilical cord. And by chanting the mantra, you're connected to Guru and you're connected to Sastra. And so you're feeding your spiritual form and you're growing your spiritual svarup. The spiritual blossoming of the soul has begun. That's why in the Chaitanya Charitamrita it says that Guru Brahmanda Brahmite Kon Bhagavana Jeev Kuru Krishna Prashade Bhai Bhakti Lata Bij. That after wandering in this cosmic creation, in the beginning of Guru Darshan, we wrote the poem that talks about this. Gurudev, what is Gurudev doing? Jivas are described to be like seeds that are floating in the cosmic winds by the influence of their karmas and the three gunas, the three modes of material nature. So we are moving throughout the cosmic creation from one species to another, but the soul remains in a seed-like form, unborn, spiritually speaking. We have not been spiritually born. So by great fortune, Guru, by Krishna's mercy, the Father, and Guru's mercy, then Krishna and Guru's mercy combined, they take that seed and they plant it. And then the seed Bhakti Lata Bij will sprout. And as you chant the mantra, then your seed will sprout and begin to grow. And first it develops 2 leaves and then other leaves. Ultimately that creeper, by the support of Guru, because it's described to be a creeper. So it's not a tree. It's a creeper because that idea is that the creeper needs support. So Guru is your support. And by the support of Guru, your creeper will climb up and pierce the material universal covering, go beyond the Viraj river which divides the spiritual and material realms, and then blossom in the spiritual world, and then the fruit of prema will ripen. The fruit of prema will ripen, and then it will fall down. When the fruit of prema ripens, it means Swarup Siddhi. Swarup Siddhi means even in this body, in this life, Govinda Maharaj would say you can achieve bhav in this life. So that means that the fruit of prema comes down into this world, to the roots, the base of that creeper, and then you can relish that prema, and then you realize, what is my swarup, my spiritual form? You're still in this body. Now, if you realize your spiritual form genuinely, not as a cheap, like, oh, this. Sometimes the sahajis, what they do is, the sahajya babajis, for a few rupees for donation, they give you your manjari name and a secret mantra. But then there's been controversies that, some friends, they're told not to tell each other. But after some time, some people tell each other, the scandal came out, you're the same manjari that I am. And you got the same mantra and you have the same cloth because you get Ekadas Bhav. This is your cloth, this is your seva, this is your particular service, your particular residence. Like, part of your Ekadas Bhav means where you live in the spiritual world, what you wear in the spiritual world, what is your name. So when they give that in an imitation way, then they give the similar thing to many different people, and then people realize it's just a fraud. So the idea is when you actually realize that through samadhi, divine trance, then after giving up, and after Swarup Siddhi, then you serve in that internal state, Astakali Lila Smaran, and Astakali Lila Seva. Then giving up this material body, then you will be born in Boma Brindavan, which means you'll be born in the Lord's holy abode that appears in this world. Then by living that life perfectly under the guidance of the eternal associates of the Lord, then you'll go to the transcendental world. Prakrita Brindavan. So this is all the process of both Paroksha and Aparoksha Gyan, you could say. Because the idea is that accepting Guru is, ultimately it's taking shelter of Guru as the source of divine knowledge beyond yourself. Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalaka. He gives us the light of knowledge and removes ignorance. And then we enter the womb of Sashta and began the process of achieving Aparoksha Gyan, which means, that's why one of Krishna's name is Aparoksha, like he is that personality who is, you can say he's beyond the realm of the mundane senses. So that's why we mentioned this verse. You have to spiritualize your senses by bhakti yoga. So chanting the mantra also, that's a process of spiritualizing the senses so that they become able to perceive the absolute truth in his personified form. So, Sashtra Yonidvat, we're going to discuss it more, but that's just a basic little introduction, and I will go forward to the next topic.